Hello, this presentation is geared to help you start your team's journey towards accessibility evaluation and compliance. My name is Lubna Jamal. I'm a project coordinator with the CDPS Operational Excellence team in EDO, and we can be reached for any additional assistance with regards to accessibility or other process improvement concerns. House Bill 21-1110 makes digital accessibility non-compliance a civil rights violation. The law will go into effect July 1st of 2024, and some consequences could include court orders and fines and monetary damages as well. The law dictates that our communications and processes need to be considered for digital touchpoints for both internal and external stakeholders. This means the public at large, our community partners, as well as internal CDPS employees. The touchpoints to consider are websites. These could be external as well as the CDPS intranet. These could be documents, forms, presentations, videos, IT applications, and other communications like emails or meetings. But it's not just the law. It matters because it's a civil right, it's a human right, and basically it's the right thing to do. We should aim to make our content inclusive and accessible by removing barriers for all users. So where do we begin? I will show you a demo of how to do this within your smaller teams and go over some of the tools that we can help provide for you to organize these. So very quickly, to go over the process, your evaluation process should begin by setting in your smaller teams a regular meeting cadence. This could be 30 minutes every 2 to 3 weeks, and use these sessions as a working session. The first meeting should be to quickly process map or brainstorm your daily operations for those digital touch points. What does your team create or interact with that includes those websites, documents, forms, etc.? The next step would be to list these items in a spreadsheet of sorts. You can use a sample inventory form to organize your lists. And once things are defined, the next step would be to set a priority for each one of those items. Some of them may be high risk, like they may be coming in lots of public contact. It could be a form that is being utilized by many users, so it is high criticality. So you'll use different criteria to figure out the priority of each line item. The next step would also be to make some kind of decision on these items. Are you choosing to fix the issues for accessibility on this, thereby remediating it? Or are you looking to accommodate some of these items because maybe there are not too many touch points, or perhaps the risk level is low, or perhaps we just cannot remediate, it's not within scope for us at the moment. So I will go into detail on some of these when I show the demo as well. But for the next few months, dedicate some time to work through your items and keep reviewing and updating your inventory. Understand that you play a huge role in moving us forward in our accessibility compliance. Yes, it's a moving target as standards for accessibility get updated and revised continually. But by committing to do your best and proactively acquiring accessibility skills and training, you can make a difference. And there are many resources out there, including mini workshops that we created that the accessibility team provided around simple skills like using plain language, hyperlinking correctly, using tables properly, use of correct heading structure and formatting, and more recently, even an intro to PDF remediation. So please use these to your advantage. Last but not least, reach out to subject matter experts. These could be the accessibility points of contacts. This could also be the operational excellence team in EDO. We are managing the accessibility project, and we would be more than happy to assist you in problem solving any items that come up in your inventories. So with that, let me go ahead and show you a demo of what this could look like. So with the HR pilot that we ran, the first thing was setting a meeting with the sub-teams. This particular team was the recruitment selection retention team, the RSR one. And the first thing we did was just ask them, well, what is it that you do? What are your daily operations? And we started just having basic categories right here at the top. We're using a platform called Lucid Charts, but this could easily be done if you are face-to-face in a room. This could be done with Post-it notes. And if you need help with Lucid Charts, we can certainly create blank boards for you and send it your way. So this was just a quick brainstorm of then building out what other items could there be. Once we had this discussion with the team, the next step was transferring all of this over to a team inventory. The inventory was built out of a template. The template we used, and which you could also possibly use, looks something like this. And internally, we set a go live date. For us, this is now July 1st, 2024, so that we are in compliance when the law goes into effect. Some things that we would start listing are those big buckets that I just showed you here, certain subtasks, ownership, who's responsible for them, approximate time needed. This could be an optional field. Many teams chose not to fill on this, but if you want to create a level of effort, this could be a useful column to denote. Then there are items that we can set status levels on, priority levels, and decision items. So for example, they started looking at hiring and what are some of the subtasks within hiring. They started defining who within their team was responsible for these documents or for these processes. Then they started looking at the status. Of course, many of them started with the not started. Some were in progress, some were ready for review. The difference between ready for review and completed and reviewed basically means that a second set of eyes has gone over and looked at your items for accessibility and said, yes, they do comply, and move that over to completed and reviewed. That's best practice. The next thing was setting priority levels. So it could be a high, medium, low. And to explain more about these levels, there is an explanation sheet that is also included in these sample inventories. It's linked to a best practices sheet for risk. And the risk could be high risk, dependent on the amount of usage. It would be a top priority if it has like public external touch points, if it has high usage, critical usage, like without it, you can't run your daily operations. It could be medium, high risk, or medium risk, depending on how useful it is, but maybe not critical, whether it's public facing or maybe a limited number of CDPS employees are using it. And it could be low risk, which means that maybe perhaps you choose to archive or delete it or accommodate it. But maybe it's an internal file with very few employees that are using it. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of these decision items here. So we could look into accommodating certain things. We can convert them, remediate them, archive, accommodate, or delete them. What are the differences between these? These are also explained under the explanations tab. So converting means, for example, it could exist as a PDF and you are changing it to publishing it to web and changing it to a HTML form, or it could be changed to a Google Doc. The reason for that could be that those have better accessibility structures built into them. You could also remediate it. So for example, if you are dealing with a PDF and you have access to Adobe Acrobat, let's say, or you can move it over to MS Word, convert it to that, then you can remediate it by running an accessibility check on it. You could also accommodate certain things. So if we add language and say, if you cannot access this information, please reach out to us and somebody can help you either read out the content, fill out the form, or make sure that we create some kind of a solution so that these items are available for you. So that's another way that we can make sure that we are filling the gaps. Accommodations are always a band-aid and not a permanent solution. So please keep that in mind when you are making these decisions. You could also archive certain documents. This is a great time to clean up your drives and your documents. Perhaps it's things that are sitting on your website that have not been used for over 7-8 years. Perhaps it's no longer relevant. This would be a great time to archive those. Archiving means that we are still keeping general access. We're removing general access, but we're still keeping it for historical use for future reference. You could also end up deleting some of these because they just may not be in use, they're no longer needed. And then remember that you need to follow state archive rules, making sure that you are not deleting something that needs to be archived for future reference. So in a nutshell, that is kind of the inventory that you can start with. Again, this is just a sample. You can totally tweak this to your own advantage and to something that will work better for your team. Thank you for all your support in helping us move forward towards achieving full accessibility compliance at CDPS. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out.